What's up, guys? Alright, so today's video, I actually recorded this a long time ago, or at least I recorded most of it, and then I lost the footage and I never got to finish it, which means I never uploaded it. So here we are. I'm going to try and finish it and upload it for you guys. I think it's a really important video, and I actually typed up an article that pretty much covers everything in this video. I uploaded it to ClothingBrandStartup.com yesterday, so if you want to follow along with the text version, check it out there. I'll link it below. Other than that, if you do read that, or if you've already read it, this video is going to be pretty much the same. I'm going to cover all those points that are in the article and maybe expand on a couple of them. So if you guys got any questions along the way, drop them below and I will try and help you out with whatever your question may be. Anyways, as you can tell by the title of the video, today we're going to talk about Shopify versus WooCommerce. If you don't have a website for your clothing brand, get one. And if you're going to get one, my two recommendations are Shopify and WooCommerce. So that's why we're going to compare the two, and hopefully at the end of the video you can have a little better idea of which path you want to take, whether it be the Shopify path or the WooCommerce path, or maybe you don't know yet. But hopefully this video helps answer that question for at least a couple of you. That's the goal anyway. So if you don't know what Shopify and WooCommerce are, they're basically both two different e-commerce platforms to build a website. Two of the most popular ones out there. Two of the most widely used ones as well. There are a ton of clothing brands, very well-known clothing brands that use both. Probably more on Shopify, I would say. The reason being is, well, we'll cover that in the video, but right off the bat, it's just easier, I would say, in general, and quicker as well. So let's go ahead and jump into Shopify. Number one, it's an all-in-one e-commerce solution, which means your domain name and your hosting are included. So you don't have to go out and find hosting and get a domain name yourself, which if you've done that before, it's not really that difficult, but it does involve, either setting up one or two different accounts with different companies. So it can be confusing, it can be kind of a pain in the butt, and if you choose Shopify, you don't have to worry about any of that. They handle all that for you. So that's number one. That's it's a big thing for some people, not so much for others. Anyways, number two, over 50 website themes to choose from. Last time I counted, which and when I counted, there was 10 free themes and 49 paid themes, all ranging in price. If you guys want to check out the price, just go to Shopify's website, which I'll link that below as well. You can check out all the themes, see which ones you like, which ones you may want to use. Anyways, number three, Shopify requires no coding skills to get your website up and running, which is probably one of the main reasons it's so popular. WooCommerce has a much steeper learning curve. It's going to take a lot longer to get the same or a similar quality website up and running. So that's number three, is a huge one for a lot of people, and in my opinion, it's probably why a lot of people ultimately end up choosing Shopify. It's just a lot less of a headache, a lot less of a hassle. So there you go. Number four, Shopify is clean and professional. And what I mean by that is basically it's pretty simple to get a good professional looking website up and running with Shopify. A lot easier than, say, WooCommerce. Which, it's similar to number three, but I wanted to put another number in there just for that one because I wanted to emphasize how easy it is with Shopify to get a nice looking professional website. Anyways, moving on to number five, which I already said, it's used by many well-known clothing brands out there. You'd probably be surprised actually how many of the bigger brands use Shopify. It's not too hard to figure it out if you're really interested. If you guys want some examples, let me know below and I will throw out some names that you've probably definitely heard of. Anyways, let's keep going. Number six, Shopify offers a free 14-day trial. which is cool because it gives you a chance to check it out for yourself, see just how easy it is, see if you like it, and before you get locked into a payment plan, you get to check everything out, see if it fits your needs, and after 14 days, if you like what you've seen, like how your site looks, you're happy with everything, from there you can choose one of their, I think they have 3 different monthly payment plans depending on what you want, what you need. So it's cool that you get 2 weeks to test it out before you're locked into paying for anything. Number 7, unlimited file storage, which is huge because compared to WooCommerce, with WooCommerce, like I said, you got to set up your own hosting, which means depending on how much you pay for hosting, depending on what hosting you get, the more you pay usually, the more storage you'll get. But with Shopify, you don't have to worry about that because it's unlimited right off the bat, so you don't have to worry about how many media files you're uploading to your site, how big the files are. You don't have to worry about any of that because it doesn't matter. The storage is unlimited. Which takes us to the last one, which is Shopify's excellent 24/7 support. Shopify is huge and well known and used by a ton of brands for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons probably because their customer support is amazing. I haven't dealt with personally Shopify. I haven't used them as much as I have WooCommerce and WordPress. I'm a lot more familiar with WordPress, but I have been using Shopify a little more recently. I'm even considering switching my clothing brand's website, L3 Apparel, over to Shopify, and I probably will do that within the next few months. And from what I've heard and the limited contact I've had with their support so far, everything's been really good. I've heard only good things. So, the process of switching from WooCommerce to Shopify isn't too intimidating because I know their support will be there to help me along the way if I do need some help. Anyways, that's not, the whole list of comprehensive pros. I'm sure I could come up with a lot more, but right off the top of my head, those were 8 just that I wanted to throw out there. The main ones that I can think of real quick. Let's go ahead and move on to Shopify's cons. The number 1 con for a lot of people with Shopify is definitely going to be the monthly fee. Like I said earlier, I believe they have 3 different plans to choose from, ranging from $29 a month to $299 a month, depending on what you want and what you need for your website. The next con for some people, not everyone, is going to be that Shopify is a closed platform. What that means is the customization of your website is going to be limited to what Shopify allows, whereas on a WordPress, it's open source, so there is really no customization limitations if you know how to code and you know how to customize websites. But a lot of people aren't really going to be interested in that. You can customize Shopify's websites pretty much to exactly what you would want without going too crazy. You make your website look really good, really professional, really tailor fit it to your brand. So that's number 2 is not really going to affect that many people unless you're just one of those types that wants to customize every little piece of your site. And number 3, which kind of ties into number 2, is that ultimately at the end of the day, Shopify owns your website / online store, which basically means that you can only customize it, like I said earlier, to what Shopify allows. Like I said about the pros, that's definitely not the full comprehensive list of cons for Shopify. I'm sure you could come up with a couple other ones, some people that weren't happy with Shopify, that have some complaints here or there, but for the most part, if you do your own research, the vast majority of reviews from what I've seen have always been very positive. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and from what I've seen, it's definitely lives up to those reviews. With that said, let's go ahead and move on to WooCommerce, which, if you're not familiar with WooCommerce, WooCommerce is basically an e-commerce platform for WordPress. You use WordPress to make your website, then you install WooCommerce to handle all the e-commerce stuff on your website, your online store. So the first pro with WooCommerce is there are thousands of website themes to choose from, both free and paid, which are the premium ones. Which, if you compare it to Shopify's themes, it's quite a big difference as far as the number of themes that are available. But like I said, there's definitely more than enough from what I've seen with Shopify to find something that you'd be really happy with. Moving on to number 2, which I already covered a little bit earlier, was that WooCommerce is open source, which means there's pretty much unlimited customization. You're only limited by pretty much your personal skills. If you know how to code, you can pretty much do whatever you want to with your WordPress/WooCommerce website. Whereas with Shopify, there's not really any coding skills required, but like I said earlier, you're limited to what Shopify allows. WooCommerce, there are no limits, which can be good or bad depending on your skill level, what you're looking for. You can definitely get yourself in trouble if you start trying to customize stuff and you don't exactly know what you're doing. It's not too hard to break your site and really mess stuff up. But like I said, it could be a pro for some people, it could be a con for others, so it just really depends what you're looking for. Anyways, moving on to number 3, which we already talked about again, is that with WooCommerce, you own and control 100% of your website/online store, which once again ties into number 2 in the fact that it basically just means you can customize it to your exact liking. There are no limitations. And number 4, which is the biggest one for a lot of people, and it kind of should have an asterisk next to it, is there's no monthly fee. Now, while there's no monthly fee for WooCommerce directly, you are going to have to pay a monthly fee for hosting. You'll have to pay for your domain name, and then you'll also have to pay for any plugins. WooCommerce has a lot of plugins that open up a lot of different options for you. They add a lot of different functionality. Like there's one plugin that I use on quite a few of my websites called the WooCommerce Cost of Goods plugin, which really makes it easier to figure out how much profit you're making on individual items or individual products. So you got to take that stuff into account as well. While the basic bare bones WordPress and WooCommerce are both free, like I just said, you still got to pay for, at the very least, the hosting and the domain name, and 95% of the time the theme that you're gonna choose probably isn't gonna be a free one, because the free ones aren't very good, so you're probably gonna choose a premium one, which can cost $50 to over $100. And then on top of that, you gotta take into account there's probably gonna be some functionality that you may want to add to your website, which will require you to buy certain plugins. So that's just all stuff you got to factor into. You really need to figure out what you want with your website, what you're looking for, and then maybe go over both these pros and cons and kind of figure out which category or which side you fit on better. They're both good choices, but without going too far into that right now, let's go ahead and hit the cons, and then we'll come back around and wrap this up a little bit. So the first con is going to be that the website setup is a lot more technical and time consuming than Shopify. Now that's a big one, because when I say it's more technical and time consuming, it's a lot more time consuming, especially off the bat. If you've done it before, if you're an experienced web designer and you've built some websites on WordPress before, it's going to be a lot quicker the second time, the third time, the fourth time. But if it's your first time, there's going to be a lot of headaches, and there's going to be a lot bigger of a learning curve on WooCommerce than there would be on Shopify. So another thing to take into consideration, which moves us to number 2, and it kind of ties into number 1, is that the website customization requires a lot more skill. That one's pretty straightforward. Shopify, the customization is just easier to do if you're not a web designer, and I would say it's easier to get things to look how you want them to look. Moving on to number 3, which once again I already covered, is that the domain name and the hosting must be purchased and set up separately, which, like I keep saying, if you've done it before, it's not too big of a deal. You can set it up rather quick, like within an hour if you've done it before. But if not, it's just something else you got to learn, and something else that doesn't need to be done with Shopify. So moving on to number 4, which I also covered earlier when I was talking about Shopify, is that your file storage is going to depend on whatever web hosting you ultimately choose with WooCommerce. So like I said, if you choose, a cheaper web hosting plan, your file storage is probably going to be a lot smaller than if you were to pay more for a better plan. And once again, with Shopify, you don't have to worry about that because it's unlimited file storage. So now that we've covered all of the pros and the cons for both Shopify and WooCommerce, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I won't say I ultimately recommend one over the other because it just depends on your circumstance and what you're looking for. The main advantage of using Shopify is that it's just a lot easier and quicker to get a good professional e-commerce website up and running than it is if you use WordPress, especially if it's your first time using WordPress and WooCommerce. So I guess I could say if you're trying to get your online store up and running as quickly as possible so you can move some product and you don't want to go through the headache of learning WooCommerce and WordPress, then I would definitely choose Shopify. If you're not too worried about the budget, you're not too worried about having to pay $29 a month for Shopify or choosing one of their other plans, then I would definitely choose Shopify. That's going to be the drawback for a lot of people. It's just that monthly fee that Shopify charges, which $29 is not a lot at all. But if you want a lot more on your website, you may want to choose one of the other plans. But like I just said when I was talking about the pros and the cons, when you include all the extracurricular stuff that you're going to have to pay if you choose WooCommerce and WordPress, like the domain name, the hosting, any additional plugins you may want, the paid theme, you're probably going to end up paying definitely going to end up paying more than $30 a month anyways. So I would just really figure that out ahead of time. Maybe check both of them out. See, a lot of these themes you can actually do live previews of, so you can find whatever theme you're interested in, click on the live preview button, and really check it out for yourself. See if that's something you think may align with your brand. And if you choose Shopify, you can even test it out, for the 2 weeks and really take it for a test drive and see if it's something that may fit your needs. So I would say the main advantage of choosing WordPress and WooCommerce is basically is that it is unlimited in the amount of customization you can do to your website if that's something that interests you. And if you're an experienced web designer and coding is something you enjoy, you may want to choose WooCommerce and WordPress just for that reason alone, because you're not going to have any use for coding with Shopify. So in conclusion, I guess if you're looking for a platform that's going to allow you to customize your website to your exact specifications and you want to own 100% of your website, I'd probably recommend looking at WooCommerce and WordPress. If your main goal is to get a good, clean, professional website up and running as quickly as possible so you are able to sell your products to your customers and you want the least amount of headaches, I would choose Shopify. But they are both good choices, and in my opinion, can't really go wrong with either. I keep saying WooCommerce and WordPress has a lot higher or a lot steeper learning curve, and it does, but at the end of the day, compared to some other methods of building a website, especially back in the day when you had to code everything yourself, it is a heck of a lot easier than that, and probably some other options out there as well. So while it does have a steeper learning curve, it's still quite a bit easier than some other alternatives. Anyways, that's pretty much all I want to cover in this video, guys. I hope that helps you out. I hope it helps make the decision a little bit easier for some of you. There are plenty of other options, like I've heard people talk about Wix, which I personally don't have too much experience with. What I've seen in the past when it was a little newer and I messed around with it not too long after it came out, I was not impressed with. I don't want to say too much about it though, because like I said, I haven't messed around with it too much recently and it could have improved a lot. So I'm not gonna talk too much about that. If you guys got any other recommendations, let me know below. If you got any questions or comment about this video, whether it be related to Shopify or WordPress or WooCommerce, drop those below as well, and I'll try my best to help you out. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it helped some of you guys out, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video, and stay limitless.